I'm not even going to look at my notes to say that part, but the heart of that is the people yearning to feel heard. And we are far out here. We are far from Salem. So I do want you to know that my intention, if I get on the ballot and I win, that I will absolutely roar in Salem. And I really want to allocate. I've learned a lot about the allocation process of the lottery funds. I want to ensure that we are allocating for lottery funds to meet our funding shortages in District 29. Okay, my intention is to be done in 10 minutes, so I will keep going. I want to honor our Hispanic communities. Yo puedo dar español también. Yo pienso que hay personas aquí que pueden hablar español también. En este país tenemos más que 60% de los Estados Unidos que son hispanos. La comunidad hispana es la columna vertebral de los Estados Unidos. The Hispanic community is the cerebral column and foundation of this country. More than 65% approximately of our country is Hispanic. I feel it very important for me to be able to speak. I speak French, Dutch, English, Spanish, and a little German. But I also want you to know that yo quiero ser una voz para la comunidad hispana también en el distrito 29. That I want to be a voice for our Hispanic community as well in District 29. Que es importante comunicar con la gente en su idioma. It's important to be able to communicate with people in their language. So I just wanted to honor our Hispanic community as well. Que la comunidad hispana es la columna vertebral de los Estados Unidos. The city of Paris, l'étoile, la ville d'étoiles. Moi, j'ai étudié à Paris, j'ai étudié à la Sorbonne. I studied French and lived in Paris for a year. How amazing that the Olympics right now are in La Ville d'Étoiles, the city of light. That yesterday, for 3 hours plus in an opening ceremony, the world came together in the city of light. L'étoile, I would say l'étoile. L'étoile is light, l'étoile. That's the French lesson for today, right? And then here we are. The day the Olympics starts, and the world came together last night. And by the way, this room happened to be available when I came to see Pat Beard. I was really clear. Something about July 27th. I didn't even think about the Olympics. So, Tanya, we're booked till 2025, and we have an RV show in the parking lot. And he looks, he goes, the room's empty. It's available. So it was really divine alignment that we're all sitting here. Pretty amazing. I want to address my biggest concerns that I'm seeing. I've been on the road a lot, even since last fall, talking to people, hundreds of people, from when I ran briefly as a Democrat and now as a non-affiliated candidate. I held town halls as well in Joseph, Enterprise, Cove, LeGrand. Our houselessness. I worked briefly for the State of Hawaii Office of the Attorney General, Crime Prevention and Justice Assistance Division. At lunch, I would go down to the state capitol in Honolulu, and there would be homeless people all over the yard of the state capitol in Hawaii. And I met a man named Mark. And he had just lost his job. He was my age. And I let him know, I see your light. I said, what? Tell me your story. And it was COVID. And he said, I lost everything. In 3 weeks, I lost my job. I could see his eyes. He was so scared. I lost my home. And he was sober. He said, I don't know what the resources are. I don't know where to go. And I'm scared. And I'm sexually assaulted at night. And I don't know what to do. And he looked at my soul and he said, it's a fundamental human right to be able to have a safe place to sleep, hygiene, mental health, alcohol and drug treatment, and workforce development. I don't know the solution. But this is America, and we have vets sleeping on the street. We've got police officers administering Narcan 50% of their jobs. While Whiskey Fest was happening, I live by the Art Center. I watched a man fall off the edge across the river, probably high on fentanyl, and the couple saved his life while I was calling 911. We are in a crisis with housing and houselessness, mental health. And then the other huge thing, and this is what Todd and I talked about, I want to honor Todd Nash for having implemented and working with legislators. I want to honor Todd Nash for the Ag Stress Hotline. And he's going to Washington, D.C. to advocate for increased funding in the Farm Bill to implement this nationwide. And when we met at the Slack and Joseph and had a conversation, I absolutely echo his sentiments. What I heard at my town hall is, and someone had just committed suicide that week, and Joseph, the distractors. I have a friend who went blind at 50 driving his Beamer on North Shore. He'd been a Navy SEAL for 14 years, and from the CCM, he went blind, and I went to help him in Hawaii, get his paperwork, and work a trip to the hospital, and he taught me something. That while we have the distractors, right, we better be looking 360, because it's what we're not hearing, and it's what we're not seeing. So while we're talking about the wolves and the livestock, the distractor, right? Here's the distractor. We have the highest rate of growing suicide in ranching and farming families carrying an average debt load of $1 million. We need rural mental health care. We need mental health providers who can understand how to help ranching and farming families. Affordable housing. Our pay versus what housing costs. Child care, what Jim was talking about. Here, child care might be twice the cost of your mortgage. We have people sharing housing because they can't afford their own home. And another thing that really hit me at the town hall and Enterprise was there's about 22 positions that were open at the hospital, and there isn't enough local housing. So they can't fill staff because there's not enough housing, so we have a housing shortage, and then we can't provide adequate health care. Also very important, I was just at a tribal government cluster meeting for my job that I was in there. I'm on special projects, and I really recognized by listening the importance, my intention, if I get on the ballot and I win, I would work very closely with Shannon Radford, who is the Governor Kodak's tribal liaison, the first tribal liaison for the governor, and I would work very closely with Shannon to ensure that we are addressing tribal needs as well, and what I heard was the critical need to do that early on in the legislative session. So I would absolutely commit to making sure that we're working closely with tribes early on in the legislative session to identify needs. Thank you for bearing with me, everybody. We're almost there. Locally, I would like to talk to all of our stores that sell food. This is a big one. I have a couple of friends in this room who heard me speak at U.S. Senator Merkley's town hall, and I'm going to go for it. Please write down EWG and YUKA app. I want to work with our local stores to identify UPC codes, and I'm going to be setting up those meetings real soon, hopefully with Walmart and with Safeway managers. That is my intention. I have scanned our products, spent over 27 hours at both Walmart and Safeway scanning. I've dropped 15 pounds in 3 months because I no longer eat anything that's under 50 score of Yucca rating. I am going to do anything, whether I get on this ballot or not. I am going to run a national petition that we have to overhaul the entire FDA approval process. The FDA is approving foods on our shelves that is leading to the highest rate of obesity, chronic disease, diabetes, stroke, cancer. The Yucca Act will show you every ingredient and how it is tied to chronic disease. It is time, keeping the pharmaceutical companies rich while the FDA is approving everything that's keeping America sick. I invite you to get the Yucca Act and scan away on those barcodes. It shows you the hazardous ingredients. Hazardous meaning tied to cancer, tied to asthma, tied to ADHD, tied to stroke. It's unreal. I'm done. I've made all the weight come off. I'm done. I'm not going to eat the foods that are killing America. I will not do it. It is shocking. It is absolutely shocking. And Senator Merkley, he publicly said, absolutely the pharmaceutical companies are the ones making the big money. It's got to stop. So I will do whatever I have to do to go to Congress and insist through a petition that we overhaul the FDA. I fight for wellness in my own life. My mother had stage 4 advanced ovarian cancer, and she was doing yoga and eating clean. She had a personal trainer in her hospital room 3 days before she died, still lifting weights in her hospital bed. Right? Movement is medicine. I closed my LLC, but it was Wellness Wave LLC. May we have a wave of wellness by fighting the FDA. I'll put my life up. So the movie Common Ground, Jim and I went to see it together. The need to shift. I almost died from inhaling pesticide sprays myself, and you can. I will say this publicly. You can file a FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, on the Wild Bill property because I was an Aaron Brockovich out here. I came home one day and they were spraying pesticides, and I inhaled this pesticide spray to get video. I submitted the video to the EPA to Chad Schultz in Seattle. EPA showed up at our property, tested the property. Within 24 hours, it came back positive. Guess what that fungus is called? Fitness fungicide. You can't make that up.